Thinking about moving to the Wausau area and looking for more information on the surrounding communities? If so, perfect. In this video, I will discuss each of the 11 Maine communities in the Wausau area. I'll give a little history, neighborhood information, and even go over a couple key features on a map. Sit back, relax, and let's get started. Great, you're still here. My name is Pat McElroy. I've lived in the Wausau area for over 40 years, and I love it here. As a realtor, I love being able to show my passion for the area to the dozens and dozens of people moving here. If you're thinking about relocating to the Wausau area, please feel free to reach out. Anyway, let's get started on the first Wausau area community. The two communities that I'm going to start with are both about 10 minutes outside of Wausau. Both of these communities are not in the Wausau School District or DC Everest School District. They each have their own. One of them is Marathon City and the other one is Mosinee. First, I'm going to start with Marathon City. I left the city of Wausau here as a reference, but here's the basic outline of Marathon City. Keep in mind that most of this is rural. Here's the actual main city limits here, and it's just off this exit 29 with the McDonald's. But here's the main city limits right there. The village of Marathon City is a cute hillside community located about 10 minutes west of Wausau. The current population is just over 1,500 people, and it's the smallest of the 11 communities that I'll be going over in this video. Even though Marathon has a small population, it's known for its hard work and entrepreneurial drive. In fact, Marathon City's businesses employ more than the number of people who live in the village. The village dates back to about 1856 and has several long-standing businesses such as Marathon Cheese, Menzner Lumber, and County Materials. The business that I am most intrigued by is unfortunately no longer open, but was a staple of the area for 85 years. The Marathon City Brewery opened in 1881 and was quite successful until they eventually sold to the Marshfield Brewing Company for $46,000 in 1965. Take a look at some of the Marathon City Brewery sports teams. They had a hockey team, bowling, a basketball team called the Wee Willies, and a baseball team called the Brewers. Mosinee was originally named Little Bull Falls. Like many communities along the Wisconsin River, Little Bull Falls can be traced back to its first major business, a sawmill that opened in 1836. In 1857, the city's first post office opened, and the name Mosinee was chosen because the postmaster thought Little Bull Falls was too vulgar of a name. Today, the sawmill is now a paper mill and is a major employer for the area. Unfortunately, the biggest drawback for Mosinee is the occasional smell from this paper mill. However, there are a lot of areas of the city that can avoid the smell for the most part. My favorite part of Mosinee is the downtown. There's a new brewery, Mexican restaurant, and a few other stores that have opened up recently. In the works is a cobblestone inn and suites, some restaurants, and more new apartments, which is really going to give the downtown a refreshing and cool vibe. Just like Marathon City, Mosinee has its own school district. And as far as housing is concerned, there really is a good mix of residential and multifamily with a variety of ages, styles, and price points. Now, I'll move to the communities that make up the DC Everest School District, and I'll start with the village of Kronenwetter. The village of Kronenwetter is located between Mosinee and Rothschild, has a population of about 8,400, and is one of the fastest growing communities in Marathon County. I would consider Kronenwetter to be a bedroom community, as there isn't very many major employers and most commute for their jobs. As I mentioned, Kronenwetter is in the DC Everest School District and has its own elementary school. There is a median home value of about $172,000 with many new residential and multifamily neighborhoods. According to niche.com, Kronenwetter is ranked the #2 best place to raise a family in Marathon County and the #3 best place for young professionals. All right, here we are again at the maps. Here's Marathon City and Mosinee, and now I'm going to highlight Kronenwetter. Let's zoom in a little bit here. As you see, Kronenwetter does border Mosinee. Kronenwetter shares a shopping area with Rothschild here at the Cedar Creek Mall area. There's a movie theater, some restaurants, and hotels. Kronenwetter has this exit shared with Rothschild, and then has some other exits off of Interstate 39 that are shared with Mosinee. The original Kronenwetter is right here in this area. We moved to the new neighborhoods are all pretty much going to be in this area. There's a new Denyon Homes neighborhood here, and then this entire area just keeps growing more and more, basically more and more this way, with new neighborhoods and new houses. I imagine pretty soon this area is all going to be filled in. So that's, I guess, the general overview and recap of Kronenwetter. And next we're going to move to Rothschild.
Now let's move up to the village of Rothschild. The village of Rothschild has a population of about 5,500 and is part of the DC Everest school system. Rothschild is centrally located about 5 miles south of Wausau. In fact, let's take a look on the maps.
All right, welcome back into the maps. Just to give you a little recap again, there's Wausau, Marathon City that we went over, and Mosinee. I'm going to actually take off the highlight of those two, and then I'll leave Kronenwetter since we just went over that. And then here's Rothschild. Let's zoom in a little bit. Rothschild, one of the nicest features about Rothschild is that it's very centrally located within the area. I would consider Rothschild and Rib Mountain to be the two most centrally located communities within the Wausau area. What's even nicer about Rothschild is that it's on two highway systems. So we have Interstate 39 that runs north and south. It's about 2 hours to Madison or 30 minutes to Stevens Point. And then we have Highway 29 that runs east and west. It's about 1.5 hours to Green Bay or 2 hours to Door County if you took that directly east. But anyway, like I was saying, it's really nice that it's on both of these highways because it really makes commuting and getting around town much easier and faster. As you see, here is the exit off of Highway 29, and then here is the exit off of Interstate 39. Both of these areas also provides a little bit of shopping and restaurants as well, with the largest one being this Cedar Creek area, we call it. It has the Cedar Creek Outlet Mall, has some stores in there, and it has the Maine movie theater in town. Other than that, you can see here is the main residential area of Rothschild. It is growing east still. There are some new neighborhoods mixed in here. Really good park system at Gasca Park. But yeah, that's the general overview of Rothschild.
Like Marathon City and Mosinee, Rothschild got its start from a paper mill that opened in 1909. However, I'm going to go over another historical place of interest in Rothschild called the Rothschild Pavilion. This showplace was built in 1910 and is still a heavily used entertainment venue today. Throughout the years, this site has had swimming pools, baseball parks, a zoo, ski jumps, roller skating rinks, and even a roller coaster named the Whizzer. In the early days, you could take a streetcar from Wausau for 5 cents. The pavilion hosted quite a few famous musicians such as Lawrence Welk, Conway Twitty, Buddy Holly, and even Bob Dylan. Today, the pavilion is one of the nicest wedding venues in the area. As I briefly mentioned, Rothschild is in the DC Everest school system and just recently completed a renovation on its elementary school. According to niche.com, Rothschild is ranked the #1 for lowest cost of living in the area and #3 for the best place to raise a family in Marathon County. The city of Schofield is a small, landlocked city that is just south of Wausau, has a population of just over 2,200, and a median home value of around $106,000. Schofield is part of the DC Everest school system, but does not have its own elementary school anymore. Due to district reorganizing, Schofield Elementary School closed in 2012 and has reopened as apartments. I was one of the lucky ones who got to attend elementary school here though. Let's take a closer look at Schofield on the maps.
All right, here we are again at the maps. Let's take off Kronenwetter, and now I'll show you Schofield. As you see, it's a smaller city, smaller landlocked city. It is home to the Wausau Country Club here, and it borders the Wisconsin River or Lake Wausau here on the west, and then also the Eau Claire River. It's bordering here on the north and east side. There really isn't a lot to talk about or show on the maps of Schofield, other than, as you see, it does border Wausau, which makes it convenient for commute into Wausau, and it's also very close to Highway 29 here, which helps commute times as well. I guess that's all I have for Schofield, so let's move on to Weston.
The village of Weston has a population of just over 15,000 and a median home value of around 160,000. After Wausau, Weston is the largest community in the area. In fact, Weston is the fastest growing community in central Wisconsin and has a good mix of shopping, restaurants, neighborhoods, and entertainment. Let's take a closer look at Weston on the map.
All right, here we are again at the maps. Here's Rothschild and Schofield. I'm going to keep them highlighted, but highlight Weston. Let's zoom in here. As you see, Weston is primarily located along Highway 29. There's 2 exits and then even a third one here that I would consider shared by Rothschild, Schofield, and Weston. Weston is home to most of the schools in the DC Everest School District, and that includes 2 elementary schools. It includes the DC Everest Middle School, the junior high school would be here, and then the DC Everest Senior High School right here. As you see, here is the Marshfield Medical Center, which is the area's newest hospital. There's also the Aspirus Hospital in Wausau. And as far as neighborhoods are concerned, the original Weston neighborhoods would all be in this area, and then there are some newer neighborhoods out here, and then basically all along Camp Phillips Road, there's some newer neighborhoods popping up along here as well. And that is a general map view of Weston.
All right, that was a general overview of Weston on the maps. According to niche.com, Weston is ranked number 1 for young professionals and number 2 most diverse in Marathon County. As far as real estate is concerned, Weston in general does tend to have a little bit higher demand and houses seem to be going pretty fast. But remember, that's where I can help. My name is Pat McElroy and I'm a realtor with the Mike Schlichty Group at First Weber in Wausau. I've lived in the Wausau area for over 40 years and I know it very well. I've helped dozens of people relocate here and can't wait to start helping you. Now, let's shift our attention to the 4 main communities that make up the Wausau School District. I'm going to start with the town of Maine. The town of Maine is on the northwest side of town, has a population of just over 2,600 and a median home value of around 192,000. Let's take a look at Maine on the map.
All right, let's take a brief look here on the maps. I'm going to take off Weston, Schofield, and Rothschild and show you Maine. As you see here, Maine does cover quite a bit of area, but it is mostly farmland and forest. In fact, there's not a whole lot I can show you on the maps of the town of Maine. Most of the residential areas of the town of Maine are all in this area. Some run along Highway K here, and then some would run along this Highway U here. But that's all I really have to show you on the maps.
All right, as I mentioned, the town of Maine is in the Wausau School District and does have its own elementary school. More specifically, the town of Maine is actually in the Wausau West school system, but still part of the Wausau School District. Lastly, according to niche.com, the town of Maine is ranked the number 1 best place to raise a family in Marathon County. Go Maine! The town of Stettin has a population of just under 3,000 and a median home value of around 232,000. This is by far the highest median home value in our area, and it's almost entirely due to the average age of the houses. Stettin is very similar to Maine in size, neighborhoods, schools, and home values. Let's take a closer look at Stettin on the map.
All right, here we are again. Here's Wausau and Maine that we just went over, and let me highlight Stettin. Once again, Stettin is fairly spread out, just like Maine. It is mainly farmlands and forests. all in this area. There's really easy access to Highway 29 here. Highway 29 runs west. It's about an hour and a half to Eau Claire and about 3 hours to Minneapolis, St. Paul. There's a good amount of shopping and restaurants in this area, even though this might technically be Wausau. This is also really close to Aspirus Hospital and the growing medical community that's right over in this area. Most of the neighborhoods in Stettin can all be found, right, I guess within this little belt here.
Lastly, Stettin is in the Wausau School District. It's on the Wausau West school system. It does have its own highly ranked elementary school called Stettin Elementary School, and Stettin is also one of the fastest growing communities on this side of town. The town of Rib Mountain has a population of just under 7,000 and a median home value of around 184,000. Rib Mountain is part of the Wausau West school system and has 2 elementary schools. According to niche.com, Rib Mountain is ranked number 1 for the healthiest and number 1 for the best outdoor activities in Marathon County. Let's take a closer look at Rib Mountain on the map.
All right, here we are again. Here is Wausau area, Maine, and Stettin. I'm going to take off Maine and Stettin, and I'm going to highlight Rib Mountain now. Let me zoom in a little bit here. As I mentioned earlier, Rib Mountain is one of the most centrally located communities, and it's very conveniently located along this Interstate 3951. There is 2 exits going into Rib Mountain off of that highway. Rib Mountain borders Lake Wausau and the Wisconsin River here on the east, and there are several parks and boat landings along the way. In fact, Rib Mountain was ranked number 1 for the best outdoor activities because of this lake access and parks. Shopping, schools, Rib Mountain State Park, 9 Mile County Forest, these are all reasons why Rib Mountain has become so popular. I brought up shopping. Rib Mountain is now home to most of the shopping in the area. Originally, Wausau had a mall, and most of the shopping was located downtown Wausau along that mall, but throughout the years, all of the department stores and big box stores have started moving along this Interstate 3951. Everything is pretty much along this Rib Mountain Drive now. I do have another video that I have some drone footage that goes through here, but here's a brief overview that you can kind of see from all the restaurants to Walmart, Sam's Club, Best Buy, Kohl's. We have Bed Bath & Beyond, Old Navy, Barnes & Noble. It goes on and on. So as I mentioned, this is pretty much the main shopping area. This Rib Mountain Drive can be very busy at times, and some people even avoid the area because of that. Lastly, I'll go over just some of the newer neighborhoods in Rib Mountain. Some of the original neighborhoods of Rib Mountain would be all in here, all along this Interstate 39, and then along Rib Mountain Drive here would all be the newer neighborhood, or the original neighborhoods. But now a lot of the newer neighborhoods are going along the South Mountain Road. So this entire area out here is all new residential neighborhoods popping up. There's a lot of them in here. This is one of my favorite neighborhoods right in this section, and then even more out here. So there's definitely a lot of new in Rib Mountain, mainly because of everything I just mentioned: location, parks, schools, etc.
As most of you are aware, Rib Mountain is home to the Granite Peak Ski Resort that's located on Rib Mountain State Park. Granite Peak is by far our area's biggest tourism draw and a great benefit to the area. Here's a little fun fact that I'll end on. The original ski resort opened in 1937. Next to Stowe in Vermont and Sun Valley in Idaho, this makes our ski resort the 3rd oldest ski resort in all of the United States. Wow. The city of Wausau has a population of 40,000 and a median home value of around 122,000. According to niche.com, Wausau is the most diverse and second to just Weston for the best place for young professionals. We obviously know that Wausau is the main attraction and probably the reason you're watching this video. However, I'm going to keep this section brief as Wausau is worthy of its own video. Let's jump into the maps and I'll give you a brief tour.
All right, here we are with the general outline of the Wausau area. Like most towns in this area and towns along the Wisconsin River, Wausau did start as a sawmill and a paper mill town. In fact, the first sawmill started right here on this island. Another interesting fact about Wausau, or something to know, is streets versus avenues. As you see here on the east side of this Wisconsin River, they are streets, and on the west side, they're avenues. All the numberings start at the river, so we have First Avenue right here, and then we go to Second Ave, Third Avenue, Fourth Avenue, etc. All the way out, you can see we have a 36th, 28th here, 36th Avenue, so they keep growing west. Same thing on the east side of the river, we have streets. So we have First, Second, we have Fifth, Sixth, Seventh, Eighth, etc. So the streets will move out east. This also has a large correlation with the ages of houses. The original Wausau was on this river, so you can imagine the first houses were all built basically in this section here. So they kind of get a little bit younger as you go east and a little bit younger as you go west. I thought I would point out some of the more popular neighborhoods in the Wausau area. First, on the northeast side, we have the Riverview neighborhood around this Riverview Elementary School. Another popular one is the southeast neighborhood. I'm sure you're seeing this Wausau Downtown Airport here. Just keep in mind this is a private airport. It's not the main airport in town. But this is a very popular neighborhood as well. It's one of my favorites in the area. There's other spatterings of neighborhoods here and there. Keep in mind probably the original Wausau or the older neighborhoods would all be in this section, right in the middle, right in the center as I was originally going over. We definitely have new neighborhoods as you move east and as you move west. A lot of new neighborhoods here in this area, all out in here. Greenwood Hills Country Club is a nice country club, really nice neighborhoods and new houses in this area as well. A nice benefit of this area is also the access to Weston being right here. Weston, Camp Phillips Road that gets to the highway. So being in this area has its pluses. And then lastly, the schools. There's the Wausau School District has two high schools, Wausau West and Wausau East. Wausau East High School is located right out here, and then Wausau West being right here. So fairly easy to get to, based on where you're living. But once again, the city is broken up into east and west by this river. That is kind of the dividing line. Even though, in my opinion, it's starting to grow more and more west. The town seems to be growing towards Stettin and Maine and Marathon and Rim Mountain than it does going east. So I have a feeling that someday this dividing line might start going more and more towards this highway system. But yeah, so that was the general overview of Wausau on the maps. I'm sure there's going to be more videos on this as well.
I realized that was a pretty brief tour of Wausau. I didn't get a chance to go over some history and interesting facts, even though I did go over some of this stuff in some other videos, and I plan on doing some more history and facts of Wausau in some upcoming videos. Well, that was another one of my Wausau area community breakdown videos. I will be doing individual videos on each one of these 11 communities very soon. If you're interested, I'd be happy to set up a Zoom conference with you as well, and we can go over Wausau in a little bit more detail. Also, if you're coming to town, I'd be happy to arrange a tour for you as well. I'm passionate about real estate and my hometown and love helping people relocate to the Wausau area. Once again, my name is Pat McElroy, and I'm a realtor with the Mike Schlichty team at First Weber in Wausau. Please feel free to reach out. You can call, text, or email anytime. Have a great day!